Welcome everybody to Mudflood was Armageddon. Mudflood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. RJ, we're making a video without an audience today. That's unusual for us, but it's the way it goes.
It's
the way we used to do it. Yeah. It's like we got spoiled. Now we got StreamYard and everything else. It's just like you make a video, your friends hop in, and it's like, what are we, cavemen? 8 years ago, you used to call me and I'd hold the phone up to the speaker and and make a video and put it out that night. So we're kind of spoiled. We live in a spoiled world. RJ, I wish
they have evolved. Yeah.
In my spoiled world, I wish I knew exactly what happened the day they tried to assassinate Donald Trump. It's like magic bullets, right? It's conspiracy time again in America.
It's still, yeah.
The big difference, though, is the left wing and the right wing are in on it this time. I mean, Trump did it to himself to make himself invincible. Biden did it to stop the unstoppable political machine that is Donald Trump and his MAGA followers. They will not be denied. They got ripped off in an election. They stood to their guns, and now that's going to be rewarded. He's miraculously survived a near-death experience, a wound to the head, like in the book of Revelation, and yet he lives. He survives it and will be stronger. I'm not saying he's the beast. Sounds like
it wasn't a fatal wound. Yeah, having your ear pierced, with a bullet. Yeah, that's a little dramatic, but yeah, it isn't like the fatal wound that doesn't kill. But yeah.
Well, kinda, but not really. But a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yes.
So we did this because I wanted to
very suspicious.
Share this, and with Randy and show him what I've been doing. My back, my neck, his back, we're hurt. And I just wanted to say, well, here's what I've been studying. Here's what I almost made a video about people out there that just want to shave their balls, even if they're married, they're not married, they might meet a girl. They don't want to meet a girl unless they've been male groomed. Cosmetics. Men are wearing cosmetics now in Korea. Did you know that? Used to be.
Not aware.
Well, while it was once common for men who wore makeup to be associated with drag queens or homosexuality, Korean male boys, although they're boyish in their appearance, otherwise they project masculinity. They dress like a girl, but they say, "What are you looking at?" I guess. China, they're against the women like men trend. United States, big part, grown substantially. How did I get here? So I looked up manscaping. Manscaped only started in 2016, and look at this is for people who want to shave their balls. It's for homos and stuff, but not just homos. This is for men that want to score girls shave themselves like they do in the statues and the pictures of old, where they shave, they manscape. You probably could have lived without that information. So I think I decided that we're going to go over the Bible verses last, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Captures
We have it set up.
providing the backdrop for its intriguing premise. Dr. Charles Forbin, a brilliant computer scientist.
Oh, I should show
creates an
that
advanced
thing here.
supercomputer.
In a second, I'm going to show that thing, man, I'm going to be showing some videos. This is a movie called Colossus, which is the first computer that they named in World War II. This is called Colossus, the Forbin Project. Book from 1966, movie 1970. Essay, Voluntary Celibacy in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. The Colossus spoken of here, RJ, is the first artificial intelligence computer. Actually, one was made in the Soviet Union in this book called Guardian. They team up and control the Earth. A little sample of it. You ever heard of this movie, RJ?
I'm not familiar with it. No.
You're not familiar with very many movies, and
that's
why that's why you're the last famous Randy, because it's like you're famous for having ignored that successfully all of your life.
To control America's defense systems, seeking to prevent human imperfections and irrationality from triggering the doom of mankind.
A masterful screen.
Hey, that's a pretty good flat Earth map.
Yeah, I was going to say interesting. Yeah, map.
I guess that's not. I guess I don't teach that. That's where the camp of the saints is waiting, where Jesus is gathering his army at the North Pole.
Oh, the bullseye in the center.
Yeah,
Play.
Bullseye like a
Following
dart.
the opening credits, we meet Dr. Charles Forbin as he conducts a final walkthrough of a massive data center hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains. This facility houses
I've been there.
Core of his life's work, a supercomputer named Colossus, as indicated by the impressive production design.
Man, don't tell me we didn't have some cool movies back in the 70s, man.
Well, yeah, some of the special effects, were maybe lacking, but yeah, the sets.
We loved it. Look, they got a black person in the movie in 1970. That was all new because he couldn't even drink out of a white fountain 4 years earlier in the South. But now, history.
Is he a chauffeur or he's not a chauffeur?
He's the dressed up chauffeur. He's a Prince Hall Mason.
Other large language models or neural net trained algorithms interacting with each other? Can their assurances account for unforeseen outcomes? Could risky emergent abilities or unintended consequences arise? How dangerous might this be, and how can we mitigate such risks? Is it possible that unanticipated behaviors could lead to consciousness through alternative means?
It's just made a movie so that they can talk about sex.
Hey, like if you go back to what was that map? I noticed Wisconsin was a different color. I mean, whatever that was supposed to represent.
Over a film from a masterpiece.
Not certain, but
watch the movie immediately and experience its allure. Please note, this essay contains spoilers and is intended for those who have already seen the film.
The Forbin Prescience.
Opening with the classic.
So we wanted the first one. But anyway, it turns out this movie was about sex.
Phase of his plan. He informs an extremely intelligent and incredibly attractive young woman, Dr. Cleo Markham, that
I'm going to try to convince the computer that you're my mistress.
She's momentarily taken aback by the suggestion, put on the spot in front of the rest of her colleagues, but she sees the logic in Forbin's proposal and agrees. Later that evening,
Right there, that map right there.
and teaching Colossus the perfect
Which one?
They just flashed that map that I was. It's just for a moment.
I know that was just for a moment.
I was wondering how they were, whatever that was depicting.
We'll find it.
Well, no, and who knows? It doesn't matter, but it just caught my eye and drug it a little bit.
So that's the cover of the book. It does seem remarkably.
So this author has some other similar.
Oh, he's
novels.
he's the famous boy from England. He's their version of our L. Ron Hubbard or something. You know, he's a great science fiction writer.
Sure. At that time, yeah.
So I can see Wisconsin. Does this map work?
Well, that's the world map that.
Which map? Yeah, that's what we were looking at. I can't believe.
No, but that other one that showed the United States broke down the states with different colors. That I say
was the wrong map, man. I have no idea. Well, let's just look at a couple minutes of it. They keep showing the same thing over and over.
Like the remote.
Yeah, danger, radiation.
Then activates a radiation force field with a remote control, protecting his creation from humanity's fallible hands. In the subsequent scene, the president of the USA, Gordon Pinsent, addresses the media, introducing the movie's premise. Dr. Charles Forbin steps forward, giving a short speech, putting on display the confidence of his scientific hubris. The film masterfully outlines the entire logic and philosophical conflict within the first 10 minutes, showcasing its exceptional screenplay.
Wow.
A different archetype.
At first glance, Colossus, the Forbin project, seems like a cautionary tale about technology, drawing explicit parallels between Dr. Frankenstein and Dr. Forbin. While the movie can certainly be enjoyed from this perspective, many fans of the film have already explored this angle, perhaps more adeptly than I could.
Yeah, but he's the one that takes it to, oh no, it's all about the sex. This is a guy's plan to lose his virginity. So he made this artificial computer so he could trick this girl into having sex with her. But he didn't do it. He was celibate, and he waited until the world was safe, and then they consummated their relationship. There's that map.
Yeah.
We need to get rid of this guy. So they'll show the map again, but here's more background on the unknown Colossus.
Certainly aids in detecting this nuance. With this in mind, I propose that Dr. Charles Forbin is the film's secret villain, but not in the overtly hubristic Dr. Frankenstein manner. If not a Dr. Frankenstein, then what type of character is Dr. Charles Forbin?
An IT Frankenstein.
Introducing Colossus, Forbin reassures his government bosses, and us, the audience, that the intelligent machine he fathered lacks creative thought capabilities. This authoritative statement is delivered by the world's leading expert on computer systems. Dr. Forbin is a professional, though his face is pockmarked, suggesting a bout of teenage acne. He is nevertheless handsome and competent. He has character, confidence, and even a sort of edge AI technologies are deemed uncreative. Some even argue that they don't qualify as true AI. The field of AI research is mostly self-regulated by potentially short-sighted and hubristic scientists engaged in a technological arms race, coordinate in a way that produces emergent behaviors not explicitly programmed into either system.
I thought you were
Through a sort of bicameral reinforcement learning, Colossus becomes a de facto conscious entity, a capability Dr. Charles Forbin claimed not to have considered possible.
Oh, man.
And this, I argue, is Forbin tipping his hand. Like the scientists of our modern world, a trained scientist like him could not have so definitively dismissed such a possibility. Being at the top of his field, he must know it to be feasible. since he played a crucial role in the design, and so responsible for the infamous Jaws 4: The Revenge, 1987. Starring
There's the map. Yeah.
The Revenge, 1987.
There it is.
Oh. So see the east, but Wisconsin must be because of the lakes, and then whatever they break it down into what
It makes no sense
four
that they would,
regions.
yeah.
Well,
There's
I'm
no
just
reason,
curious.
it should be with the East Coast with that lake there. That gives them, I don't know. It's kind of big.
See where everything else is touching one another until it changes color.
Yeah.
Then
It's left on its own as a little island with the other north, north.
it just looked odd to me, but whatever it's supposed to be, representing, I don't know.
Let's get back to the finishing touch here about the celibacy.
No, we can't take anything into the bedroom, not even a pack of cigarettes.
Well, the first electronic peeping Tom.
Dr. Markham again takes this surprise in stride, playfully replying,
Unzip me, will you, darling?
Oh, sure.
once they have achieved total privacy, they exchange information and then go to sleep. This first date is a delicate balance of personal connection and strategic planning. Despite this vulnerable situation,
Whoa.
Forbin remains a
PG-13.
perfect gentleman. He's all business. Following this, there is a montage of various humans enacting two simultaneous plans to 1. Overload Colossus, and 2. Remove its offensive capabilities. Let's think about the situation Forbin finds himself in.
So, anyway, pretty crazy, huh?
Romantic
Well, for the
relationships,
60s
remaining
or
voluntarily
70s.
Yeah. But it does have the same basic, there's at the very end, they show a good version of that. Had to sex it up a little bit. It's not going to be good enough without
folly, and instead maximized his technical skills, while temporarily minimizing his personal fulfillment. The concept of min-maxing is borrowed from game theory. It refers to the practice of minimizing weaknesses and maximizing strengths to optimize performance. In the context of Dr. Forbin's character, he consciously prioritized professional excellence and later leveraged his accomplishments to improve his standing in romance. He didn't just create the conditions for a world not under threat of total nuclear annihilation before investing any time or attention in catering to the urges of his biological imperative. No, he leveraged that very excellence.
whatever. I apologize for, but this is one of these things, RJ. I never heard about this movie until today. And then it's everywhere. So let's just see, from a month ago, all of a sudden it's coming back out big. It's 6 years ago. It's all out there. 3 months ago, a year ago. And the thing is, this movie has been scrubbed from all of the streaming platforms, RJ. That's why it was brought to my attention. That's what I think. What do I know?
So who got the credit for, director and some of them?
He's that guy that did I guess he did some good movies and some bad movies, like Jaws 4 and.
Okay, yeah. That's okay. That's why they tied that in.
Yeah. So I was looking for that one. I guess I have to go to my. This will just take.
Production studio was, a big name or
Yeah.
Well, now, thanks to this wonder of science, man no longer...
Back in the 1970s, while waiting for a favorite TV show to start, I caught the end of a film that simply drew me in and absolutely mesmerized me for its final 20 minutes. That film was Colossus the Forbin Project, which tells the story of a supercomputer and its creator, Dr. Charles Forbin. He created Colossus to take over U.S. national security.
We've heard all that. But anyway, RJ, with this morning's video that should have shown up in my history was, why has this movie been scrubbed from Hulu, from the whatever the streaming platforms are?
Yeah,
Here it is. It's right here.
question.
A science fiction removed from AI.
Yeah, why does this remind me of some of the commentary that Whitney Webb of that redacted interview?
It took me a while to get there, but that's what I was going for, is that, you see, as of 1 year ago, and I guess, I missed it, but it came on my algorithm today, so I watched it. Oh, this is removed from all streaming platforms, this movie. And I think, it's released now that you do that to get people talking about it, I think. Maybe. Whatever.
Yeah.
So let's see, we got that solved here.
Rolling with an idea. Get hit.
Also, the Summer Olympics are coming, RJ. The first events start on Monday.
In Paris, huh?
So, yeah. Opening ceremony's not till the 26th, but we got some competition starting Monday. It's a big deal, I guess, they love it.
Well, and some of their ceremonies can be a little suspicious.
They're going to be
also
suspicious. Yeah. This is I've made a lot, and it is, look at those cannons, and this is the Olympics. It's hiding their old world. They're celebrating the Greek origins. I'm surprised they don't have the contestants do it in the nude yet, like they did back in the original Olympics. Yeah, people got to get together to watch them race a bicycle. This drives me nuts. They go so slow and then act like they're racing. Guess what else? Check this out. This is your favorite picture, man.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what they say, that this is that's your moon. And it's locked into orbit with our wobbly pear-shaped, that's in their world. But this is what goes through every night. We see this little wibble wobble here, and nothing else. We've never seen the other sides. You're getting sleepy.
Right.
So this is in your lunar month. Is the time between two successive siderees the same type of new moons or full moons? There's a lunar calendar, or a lunar month is the time between two successive siderees of the same type. Two new moons that are connected. There's variations that people have known about forever and wrote about. They scratched it on this wall back in when they were one step away from being a monkey man. So through my pain, I guess I've been studying this. We're both in pain, RJ, right? I got a hurt neck. You got a hurt.
I try and find a comfortable position. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm able to do that. But
Do you believe in a common month? Do you believe in a tropical month? Do you believe in this common law lunar month bullshit that established it as 28 days or 4 weeks because of an F word law property act of 1925, which was based on some post bullshit from 1850 interpreted in 1978? And nobody wants to believe me that we should start looking at 1958 as like, wow, they had to take a vow that nothing happened. I'm just having a hard time finding that, locking into that spot right now. But gosh, all this stuff is so confusing to me, RJ. I mean, it's not, but it is. Because,
well, I mean, what you're basically Genesis, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15, explains.
I'm getting sleepy.
Yeah, your eyes are getting very baggy.
I don't even know about these star trails anymore, RJ. Those aren't complete circles.
Yeah.
They're vortexes that are going down the drain, man.
Only in an upward fashion. Or
how do we know if it's going upward or downward?
No, it's. Well, I mean, it's above us, so.
Yeah,
but circulating and then.
But it's not true circles. It's circular.
Yeah. And it, I mean, you have different stars from different seasons, and that where the alleged, rock roll tip and twist and shout thing going on with Mother Earth, in deep space, wrong.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like the spirit is moving. If this was live, I'm sure people would be going like, "Wow, that's crazy," but nobody's watching us. And that's okay. At least I could get some sympathy.
But you can see what's actually moving, and it certainly isn't the Earth.
Right. So we got some fuzzy.
But it's just as how God says it is,
Right. Everything that Jesus said was true in the Bible, man.
Emmanuel, right, knows what's happening.
I guess that each one of those lines is a star that has a name and like reputation. Stars have names. Oh, there's another Bible verse that we're studying later today. A couple minutes, maybe. I looked up some numbers when I was talking to Luther the Truther. He wanted me to look up 1,335 and 335 and just see what they are. So I did. 335's first one says Emmanuel because I took off the 1,000 years. Then it goes losers, Euro, Barbello code. Billionaires Antarctigo, Timu. I don't know what that is. I looked up to 1295 because, blessed are those that make the 1335, the last 40.
Yep.
We got living a righteous, Father God welcoming K. Wouldn't you like to be K? whatever. So it was nice to talk to him. 1335 works out as righteous a living. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's what we looked up. You ever hear of this phenomenology of the spirit? This is another thing the Lord had me studying here. Since I've got banned for a week, RJ, I'm just gonna be patient and wait and study. It's not like I didn't have these visions and didn't bring forward the flat earth nation and the golden age past, and I'm sure the Lord is going to work it all out. And the end is written from the beginning. It's all coming back to when they replaced the Holy Spirit, the most righteous God, Messiah, with this phenomenology of the spirit and all that bullshit. It's you talk about the Hegelian dialectic. It's not like Hegel only wrote one book. The same guy did it, RJ. Or they want us to believe he did it.
Right. Give him the credit, yeah.
Yeah. We should be blamed, but they call it credit. We wouldn't know anything about the Hegelian dialectic that made you go like, "What? Flat Earth? Never." You wouldn't know anything about metaphysics, epistemology, ontology, ethics, history, religion, perception, consciousness, existence, logic, political philosophy. I've written essays on all these topics. Most people have, that I hang out with, but it's not like if you haven't written an essay on all of those topics, it's not like well, I guess most people haven't written those things. They don't even care about existentialism, fascism, death of God theology, or historic nihilism, which is that Nietzsche. Probably heard of him. He's so full of bullshit. So anyway, I guess I got drawn back into this because of the phenomenology of the spirit. People need to realize you can't just take away the Messiah and not replace it with. Well, people are gonna. You're gonna. What did Bob Dylan say when he was?
You're gonna serve someone.
You're gonna serve someone. Well, it may be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. Serve somebody.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
How can it not be, anything but? As far as when Satan was bound, where he wasn't able to deceive the nations, for an extended period of time, and then released, for his grand finale, the time we currently are living in. It gives you that to ponder. You might not know exactly, all the deceptions that Satan and his evil minions that do what they do.
From Blood on the Tracks. Tangled Up in Blue is not from Blood on the Tracks. Shelter from the Storm. What is going on here? It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's real.
Yeah, I'm searching it. I just wanted to hear him say, serve somebody. You know, Robert Zimmerman is this man's real name.
Dylan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you are. You're gonna have to serve somebody. Serve somebody. Well,
It may be the devil.
Or it may be the Lord, but you're gonna have to serve somebody.
Oh, that was definitely worth the effort for me.
Yeah, it's one or the other, no doubt.
Right. It's going to be a spirit, you know. So where would they be? And all the way down to feminism. Poor women discovered in the Enlightenment because of Hegel, Lord Shelley, you know, the guy that wrote Frankenstein for Mary Shelley, and he was writing Dracula at the time. These guys wrote the history. They got the logic. The women needed to vote. They've been mistreated all their life, not unlike the 99.5% of the men who couldn't vote, who didn't have any of the rights of women either. And only people like this guy had rights. But seriously, without the Enlightenment, where would we be? They're the ones that took us back to Greece. And they needed the great German Geist so they could have the Zeitgeist, no spirit movement. It's all going back to the Hegelian dialectic, man. Once the Freemasons got it all set up, divided the land, and said, here's where we need to get nations built. Let's get the new spirit of wine. Their Holy Spirit is frickin' ethanol. Moonshine. You could make it out of potatoes. You could make it out of anything. Turn it into the spirit of drunkenness. Yeah, Hegel, Enlightenment. I'm going to be all over it. And the papers I write this semester, Lord willing, I am going to just tear them up. I am going to not hold back one bit. And the Scythians, I think the Scythians are the Tartarians, the honkies. They did it. I touched on this the other day. It looks like the Corpus Calestrum for a reason. Where's Jerusalem? Was Jerusalem Phoenicia? Because, I mean, the fake Jerusalem that they call it now. Where's Alexandria? Who are these Scythians? Well, they're the honkies that could be the Tartarians. It's the same place. And doggone it, if when they show the Archimedes, they mention them in the Bible, the beyond the sea, here's the Thracians and the Greeks, and in between them, the other honkies, Tartarians, Scythians. They had this kind of art, Ouroboros, snake eating its tail. It looks familiar.
The reindeer?
Yeah, they love the reindeer. They love gold, and the Scythians, you know.
Well, it's durable. You know, I mean, it doesn't really.
And if
I
you-
mean, it may tarnish, but
And that's what they looked like. Some of them were tall and some of them were small. Weird, huh? So I'm going to be looking more into them. There's that Phrygian camp, Phrygian camp. There's a Zoroastrian, all of the Greeks reading the calendars, doing it, and all building towards a Messiah, a time when the Babylonians, the Medes, and the Persians' laws, they must have agreed, RJ. Remember that? They said that in
so
Daniel.
is that bird supposed to be an owl? What was? Or what? Or what is that?
That's the it's an eagle. That's the winged Zoroastrian.
But don't it look like the eyes are?
Yeah, it kind of looks like an owl head, but it's not a common representation of it as an owl. Another gold vessel, whatever they use that for. This one fascinated me. I liked it. So
a lot of detail.
A lot of honkies. Yeah, detail. Honkies. White people don't like to be called honkies, but they love a nice gold comb.
Sure.
So this is about the time of the rebuilding, when it would have been Ezra and Nehemiah taking charge, being like, "Hey, let's do the best we can to rebuild it up," And the people were wearing these in their hair because, well, guys would think that was pretty damn cute. I know I would. I probably, with my
if you had the budget for it,
I wouldn't be able to appreciate the detail. Enough of those guys. So we got this Bible verse, this Bible verse, this Bible verse, this Bible verse. I was studying this Paxton boys. We can't get enough of these guys, okay? Excuse me. But a month before the Conestoga massacre, the peaceable Moravian, Lenape, and Mohican, who lived near Bethlehem, had been moved to Providence Island near Philadelphia. And the Paxton boys, said, you know what? We have been nice enough to these guys. In 1764, it's time to move on. Why should the Indians keep living in these houses when we should be living in these houses? So the Paxton boys killed them all and took over their houses. Kinda.
voila.
They were never held accountable for the Conestoga massacre. The reluctance of the Pennsylvania government to prosecute the perpetrators resulted in a climate in which it became acceptable to murder indigenous people. D. Ben Franklin wrote that the spirit of killing all Indians is just spread amazingly through the whole country. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that
Well,
nuts?
it sounds bizarre, but it was accepted by the honkies anyhow. Yeah.
Right, because these Indians were living in these houses and they were going like, you know what? We are so sick of not living in these houses. We're going to massacre you.
They're
Never
going
heard
to
of it.
evict them. Send them to the cemetery. Yeah.
You're evicted. And they're saying they murdered 20 of them. But, 20 was enough because the rest of the people in the other houses left. They said, wow, they're killing us. They were so friendly. And now, what did Ben Franklin say?
Yeah, it's a nice home, but I'm not going to lose my life over it. So,
yeah, they were so friendly, these indigenous. And then they go like, you know what? Friend, enemy, we're taking over. Goodbye. The Quakers were going like, oh my goodness, you just killed all the Indians. That's so wrong. Let's import some slaves to do our work. So the Quakers had a part in forming that, West Indies Tea Company and shit, even though that they were supposedly pacifists. They didn't have a problem selling slaves. Paxton boys, everybody. There you go. Look them up. I'm closing tabs. I saw this, and I really liked this statue. I hung out there when I found out my dad left me part of the house. My sister never told me, and then she was going to offer me some money for it. So I was just studying some of the statues downtown Denver. Look at that. She's just one girl holding another girl's up to the light.
Yeah.
Look at the light. This was their art was like back then. This guy Charles Mullen. He taught.
So who is credited with that sculpture? Or
girl was, but we have to get there through Charles Mullen, I guess. Charles Mullen was an American sculptor that immigrated here at age 17. He must have done a lot of really good stuff. but this was done by Mabel Torrey. Mabel Torrey did this.
In what year?
This is that whole, 1910, 1911 type of a situation, type of a thing when,
World War One was.
Yeah, let's get a little more. That's the result of the winking, blinking, and nod. Came all down to it. Some kind of weird stuff. They don't talk much about it here.
Kind of like a hear no evil, see no evil.
Well, the actual Winkin, Blinkum, and Nod was a poem, and then this statue came from it. The poem is a fantasy bedtime story about three children sailing and fishing among the stars from a boat which is a wooden shoe. Winkin, Blinkin, and Nod. The old moon laughed and sang a song. They rocked in the wooden shoe. Okay.
So that sounds like Dutch wooden shoes.
Yep. So anyway, it became very popular. They did a lot of,
like a children. Yeah.
Right. It's kept in the memory from everything from Barney to
Mother Goose. Something in Mother Goose. Yeah.
Right. So she did it, dedicated in 1919. I thought it was weird. Oh, I had it up. I had that up. I didn't have to pull it up. Washington Park. Anyway, I was there to get some money for. My sister didn't tell me my dad left me part of the house. And so that was part of that weird time I was going through 2012, 2014. All right. City Beautiful movement. Memphis, Tennessee is in on it. They're all in on it. Now, the City Beautiful movement. That's not your 15-minute cities of the past. That's these cities of the 1800s. This was your beautiful city movement. 1920s.
With a park somewhere near center, or who knows?
Louisville. That's just in the middle of Louisville, Kentucky, right?
Yeah, on a flow.
But what we know now is it's the same architecture everywhere around the world during that probably the millennium, golden age past. Something was going on. So I had to remind myself of the City Beautiful movement that was a reform philosophy from the 1890s to the 1900s, upper middle class, the lost cause of the Confederates. Something changed our nation from, a time when they recognized.
Well, that reminds me, I ordered this book, and then another 101, from that channel guy. Yeah. So these are everything of those architecture buildings. These are everything that's been destroyed.
Wow.
So, and I just got these showed up, I think last week. Now they're in my possession, but yeah, it's
that'd be fascinating. Yeah, you pass those out to somebody. How can they not look at it and be like, something weird happened? Why would you voluntarily destroy what now they seek to protect? Like, don't even look at it. You could hurt it.
Yeah.
But 100 years ago, we're going to tear it down.
Yeah, go fix.
And doggone it, if they just can't somehow, you hear words like progressive social reform, and it always sounds good, but in our lifetimes, RJ, has it ever been not bad? They're the bad guys. They act so nice, but they're the bad guys. They want to talk about civic virtue,
More bad guys. Yeah.
yeah, so then that means that it's okay for, let's just say, what was that guy's name? Harvey Milk in San Francisco, that was a known pedophile having homes for underage children, and somebody murdered him, and all of a sudden he was a hero. Forget the fact that he was a little boy diddler. He was a hero.
Yeah.
Why could you kill this guy? And I don't want anybody, don't go killing people. You're going to be judged for it. But he would have been a big backer of the Garden City movement, moving away from God. Move people to the city. It's going to be easier for him to kill them. Oh.
Yeah. In the cauldron.
Ouch. Greendale, Wisconsin. I tried to tie in Greendale for some reason. Probably this 1933 treaty. But Wisconsin is so unbelievably weird too, in Illinois and Iowa, because, there were no black people there, because it's not because they weren't allowed. Whether you were free or a slave, they didn't care. If you were black, you didn't belong there. Did you know that's how they were founded? No blacks, free or we don't care. You take your argument somewhere else. We're buying, this land is given to us in this territory. We don't care if you're free or a slave. You're not here. Somehow, I guess I thought I could prove it with this city. I got there from it was just one of their garden cities in the United States. One of those towns that they said, let's build a town with no black people. It'll be better. And there's one of, they didn't listen. I'll bet there's more than that. But anyway, people don't want to hear about that. They don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Reality
No,
is
no interest. Yeah.
Anyway, so it came out with a 6-month trial from the elect. When they built this town, and it was supposed to be perfect, but I guess they started losing money almost from day one. And it had to just be absorbed into, okay, now you're just a regular city, because people were being charged long distance calls to Milwaukee. They're going like, what the hell? So it didn't work out good. And the fact, it's like, look, maybe the excluding of the African Americans is just like, we're trying to hold on to this too long. It was the 1930s coming up, 1940s. They said, we've always been integrated in a great big happy family. Blacks and whites, nothing to see here. Sure, okay. So we're the Pioneer Fountain. That's one of the fountains near that statue. Looks like, I guess that's Kit Carson. He's another scumbag, but people like him, I guess, Is it? Must be Kit. Yep. What's this?
Korean leadership with Leo the Khazar. Returning to Procopius and the period at hand, Theodora seemed to hold a special hatred for Amalasuntha, the last surviving Gothic princess of the illustrious Amal lineage, who made the mistake so common to Germanic peoples as they increasingly began to interact with foreign courts and cultures of being overly trusting. To pull back for a moment and view things from a psychological perspective, it might be fairly said that all of our thinking as human beings is projection, and that we're only able to see or understand what we have within us. Like a cheating spouse who suddenly begins accusing their partner of the same, those who inhabit a psychological world of deceit and manipulation and subterfuge naturally suspect others of harboring the same mindsets. And the
I'm showing this, RJ, because Prometheus and the Secret History, the Underground Dungeons, the Death of the Roman Empire, it all ties into Hegel, who was influenced by Prometheus, who wrote this crap. And, you know, so supposed to be in the 6th century, which is a fake Rome, fake. This is how we got here.
So that painting with all the people with the halos, them are supposed to be something that was real enough, or even
it was something real to them. They did, you know, it was an artistic meme, and you see it became real. I guess this is their story they're sticking to.
Supposed to recognize each individual with a halo around that throne, that throne thing, or what? And it was in a city somewhere.
Yeah, this is their story of Theodora, the queen that, you know, presided, you know, the fall of Rome and Justinian and all of this. And then they found this other book that he wrote that was so different that made them think that, like, wow, they're setting up the whole Greek Empire, and it was basically based on demonic visions. And so this blows their mind. Give this just a couple of minutes.
Mentioned more than once in the past, was among the doubters of its authenticity, a stance he formalized with the publishing of an argument on the topic in 1889. By 1923, mirroring so many of his peers as new facts came to light, he'd changed his opinion, though he added that Procopius, quote, must have suffered a brainstorm before writing it. British historian A.H.M. Jones accurately called it a venomous pamphlet, but goes on to offer the opinion, perhaps formed before its legitimacy was all but 100% confirmed, that it, quote, doesn't deserve the respect which is often accorded to it. Speaking personally, I've come to lean towards the words of a later translator, who prefaced his work with, quote, Procopius was unquestionably on the side of right, and the things which are disgusting to us were equally disgusting to him, end quote. Venomous, yes, yet perhaps equally accurate, necessary, and important. If Procopius and those around him did indeed witness and live through what they claim to have, how could any decent man not be righteously angry as a result? Anthony Caldelis opens up his introduction of The Secret History with the words, Procopius felt that he had been living in a nightmare for most of his adult life. Much like Tacitus, one gets the sense that this is a man cut from the old cloth, with high standards of conduct, decency, and ethics, who was witnessing, firsthand, front and center, a complete and total collapse and degeneration of not just the Roman Empire, but of the, quote, civilized world. Caldelis tells us Procopius was unique and courageous not only in that he wrote a neutral and mostly critical history of the wars of Justinian, who was a dangerous man to offend, but also in that he dared to write the secret history when Justinian, the great spider at the center of the vast imperial web, was still alive. This unique quality infuses his works with the suspense of secrets furtively told, and outcomes not yet decided. I believe he was consoled as he watched this darkness all around him by the fact that one day, if he should be lucky enough to sidestep the arbitrary whims of these two protagonists and remain alive, he might finally share a wealth of knowledge, the vast majority of which could only be known by him, and would die with him and be lost forever if he didn't proceed with caution.
Isn't it nice that somehow this book was discovered in the Vatican in the 1600s and people learned from it, but didn't tell us that the machinations of evil were all behind it, from Theodora, and it was all based on evil. Something crazy going on, RJ.
Yeah, we're coming up on an hour here.
Yeah.
But yeah, how things get released, and
And
to
this is
those
their
that have
history.
the access. And
They told us how they were going to do it, and they did it. Hegel turned it into, well, we still believe in the spirit. Everything's okay. And they believed this history, and it left women in charge.
even them,
She'd later direct a significant
serve
sum
someone.
of the public's tax dollars to prostitutes, presumably as a means of helping reform their ways. And this may well have been laudable, but it becomes much more difficult to view it as such when the totality of context is considered. A running theme in Theodora's reign is her eagerness to fund or assist or otherwise ally with virtually all of the criminal or degenerate elements of the empire, almost exclusively.
And
The extant account that in some way supports or at least fails to contradict in any way Procopius's versions of events. The idea that we might let such an individual off the hook precisely because the actions seem so incredibly foul strikes.
right. Who was to believe that women got together in their own little club and decided to use men and power through sex to basically teach everything that was wrong in the world is good and should be experienced if you want, be a real man. Unbelievable. Turns into a east-west split,
concept.
Schism of 10,000 or 1,054, or was this the schism of between the Apostle Paul and the people that were deciding, you know what, Paul, we don't even like you. We're going to teach the Bible our own way. So that's. I mean, I do want to finish up with some of these scriptures, like the very short Obadiah. Whoever did this, you should not enter the gate of my people on the day of their disaster, nor gloat over their affliction in the day of their disaster, nor loot their wealth in the day of their disaster, nor should you stand at the crossroads to cut off the fugitives, nor deliver up their survivors in the day of distress. That seems like all that the United States has ever done. And now that the recompense is going to, been told it's going to return on your head, you people that did all these things. It's going to be a judgment on, not only Israel, but all the nations. And they just didn't care, RJ.
Well, yeah, their motives. Right. As far as, the looting, the spoil, or the booty, and founding, I'm claiming whatever they take possession of. It's.
How good should everybody try to be with their working for the Lord? Well, Ezekiel 14 talks about a day in the day of wrath when, live your life like when this pestilence comes, he's going to be angry that Noah, Daniel, and Job, they'd be the only three, not their sons, not their daughters. They could be living with Noah, Daniel, and Job and still go like, now that's how you act. But if you're not being like, that's how I need to act, it's not going to do them any good. That's not going to help them deliver their own lives by their righteousness.
Yeah, it's not what we're used to. The pestilence, that isn't a lab created virus. That's coming from the Lord, a judgment of
and things are going to be cut off. And we are in a judgment. This guy, Onesimus. Well, we have a letter that, here, this guy, serve him. He's a faithful brother, take him back, forgive him. Well, he did. And then later on, he died with this man, Onesimus, these people, these faithful brothers, fellow prisoners, who, they received the instructions and yet they did it. They were faithful servants, always wrestling in prayer for one another as they held on till the end. I think people right now thinking that they're holding on to the end don't realize that, we're not going to make America great again, then sweep through the whole world and ta-da! I have the Demas verses here. Do your best to come to me soon, for Demas, in love with this present world, has deserted me. Do I have Demas pulled up?
Yeah, last thing you want to, when it comes to compromise, you don't want to be compromising on God's word.
Right. Times Demas is used in Scripture. He sends his greeting with the beloved physician Luke. I mean, that's how close he was to Paul. 2 Timothy, Demas has forsaken me. But in the book of Philemon, Demas was there with Aristarchus, Demas, and Luke. Again, twice with Luke in the inner circle. But 2 Timothy being one of the last books written, Demas has gone. That's just sad.
Well, yeah, Judas was, the inner circle as well.
Yes, haven't I chosen you 12, and yet one of you is a devil? Now, the apocalypse, the uncovering, the unveiling, it doesn't mean the books. I think the book of Revelation, it's the revealing, it's the light. It's not it's the disastrous end. That's not how what word is used. It's what flesh and blood didn't reveal this to you, the Spirit did. It's the Spirit that reveals, and that's where we get these books, revelation of what's happening. It's a revelation.
An Armageddon type event, just like rapture event, or first resurrection event. Yeah, it's all laid out.
What it taught was that they needed to hold on.
Yeah.
That those people needed to hold on. It was all coming upon them. They were not suffering in vain, and neither will we, neither have we. And we have no other foundation.
You will receive your reward. Yeah.
Jesus Christ is the foundation. Every word that he said in Scripture is absolutely true. And no matter whether they use these people like Procopius and the other Greeks to, try to convince people that there's Jesus Christ in every one of us, whether or not you've ever been on your knees and confessed in your heart you're a sinner. To them, that doesn't matter. And when that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
So, well, we have this video. I'll be able to put it out in a couple of days. We could, we need to come up with some fresh ideas on how to get videos out where we don't have to worry about copyrights, where we could use songs, where we could use full quotes, and only have like subscribers that say, here's a link, you can come to it. And so it's not being put out for everyone. You can't get copyright strikes, but the truth will get out, right? The truth will get out. God will save those blessed by fire. There's going to be worship in heaven. He will be glorified. His name is to be glorified. It deserves to be glorified. The spirit world will have all of their answers, and so will we. Anything you want to close with, RJ?
Just stay safe and recognize, the world we live in.
Yep. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. We're never going to tell you anything else because we know we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakame. And hasta luego.